Thank you so much for coming today. My name is Lisa. Thank you for coming to this book talk event. This event is organized by the Japan Foundation New York in partnership with York Kinokuniya. My name is Lisa Hoffman-Kuroda, and I will be the moderator for this event. So today we're inviting Ms. Sachiko Kashiwaba, a prolific author of children's and young adult fantasy, whose career spans more than 4 decades, to talk about her writing and her book, Temple Alley Summer, which is right here. Kimyoji Yokocho no Natsu in Japanese. This is her first book to be published in English translation in the United States, and it won the U.S. Bachelor Award in 2022. Her works have garnered many prestigious literature awards, and her novel, The Marvelous Village, Veiled in Mist, influenced Hayao Miyazaki's film, Spirited Away. Her book, Strange Journey from the Basement, was animated in 2019 as The Wonderland, and her novel, The House of the Lost on the Cape, was also animated in 2021. So without further ado, please welcome Sachiko Kashiwaba. For those of you who haven't had a chance, I'll just give a really brief overview of the book before I jump into a Q&A with the author. So Temple Alley Summer follows the story of a little boy named Kazu. The book takes place in summer in Japan, and summer is the season of Obon, which is the season when the dead come back to visit the living. So in this story, Kazu one day goes to school and he encounters a girl in his class that he's never seen before. He doesn't know where she's come from, but everyone else seems to think it's normal that she's there. It turns out that she is actually a spirit that has come back from the dead. And as Kazu investigates what's going on, he finds out that there is a that his house is built on a secret temple that allows the spirits of the dead to come back into the world of the living. However, there are some people in the story who aren't so happy about this and are trying to prevent this little girl, Akari, from doing what she needs to do in the land of the living. So the story becomes a journey. We follow Kazu as he tries to help Akari, this little girl, fulfill her needs or fulfill her mission in the world of the living. So I'm going to just ask Kashiwaba-san a few questions. Number 1, could you share with us a little bit about how you came up with the story for Temple Alley Summer? Was there any particular event that inspired the story? Was the character of Kazu modeled after someone you knew in real life? We'd like to hear.
私の家には仏壇というものがありまして、そこに見慣れないお地蔵様があったんですね。それでこのお地蔵様は一体何のために仏壇にお地蔵様があるのかと母に聞きました。普通仏壇にお地蔵様はありません。
So in my house, we had a Buddhist altar, and at that Buddhist altar was a jizo, or a Buddhist sculpture, which typically is not found at the household Buddhist altar. So I asked my mom why it was there.
昔はその無人島という助け合いのシステムみたいなのがあって、10軒のお家が1月に1万円ずつ出して、そのお地蔵様が、巡っていったお家がその10万円を受け取るという助け合いみたいなシステムですね。
So what my mom told me was that there actually was an ancient or an old mutual aid association. It was a system amongst 10 different households who every month would donate $100. And when this jizo, when this statue made its way to your house, you would be the lucky recipient of $1,000.
今はその無人島のシステムもなくなって、そのお地蔵様が我が家にずっとあったわけです。
Even though the system is no longer in existence, this jizo is still at our house.
それでそのお地蔵様をご本尊に見立てて、 その巡っていろんな家が姫王子になっていくっていうお話も面白いなと思いました。
So that was actually the inspiration for this story. The Jizo became the inspiration for the statuette that's passed around to the different houses of the story, where they can respectively become Kimyoji, or the temple, when they have the statuette.
で夏休みの話でお盆でご先祖が帰ってくるという時期なので幽霊が帰ってくる奇妙寺という名前がいいかなと思いました。
And the reason I picked the name Kimyoji, I thought this would be a time for ghosts to come back. In Japan, during the summer vacation, we have a holiday called Obon, and this is the time when the ancestors come back to visit their families.
Great, thank you so much. So the second question I have, so in this book, the main character, Kazu, has many friendships with people who are older than him. He emails, corresponds with his uncle Junichi to ask him about the missing statuette. He keeps visiting an older woman named Miss Minakami. Even the little girl Akari is technically an older person who has come back in a child's body. Did you intentionally set out to explore such intergenerational relationships in the story? If so, did you think it would be important for children to see these kinds of relationships represented?
やっぱり子どもたちが自分のルーツというか自分の先祖のことを知ることはとても大切なことだと思っています。
As you might expect, I think it's very important for children to know about their own roots, to be familiar with their ancestors.
で数はどちらかというと目立ちたがりではなくて人の陰に隠れて生きようと思っている男の子です。
The character Kazu is not someone who likes being in the spotlight. He's more of someone who tends to hang back behind others.
でもあかりを助けるためにめんどくさいおじいさんやおばあさんたちをなんとか懐柔しようと思って頑張ります。
However, for the sake of helping Akari, even though it's a pain, he has to deal with all these older figures in his life. They're going to help him to help her.
おじいさんやおばあさんたちっていうのは今の子供たちもそうだと思うんですけどもとてもなんかこうとっつきにくくて異星人みたいな感じに思っている子供たちも多いと思います。
I think in regard to these older people, this is probably applicable to children today as well, but it's very hard to deal with or interact with these older people. They might have sort of a foreign or an alien existence from the children's perspective dealing with them.
数はそのお年寄りと向き合うっていうか戦うように物語でなっていくと思います。
So I think this story can be described as one where Kazu comes to face or maybe fight with these people of the older generation.
Great, thank you. In previous interviews, you've said that you wanted your readers, both in Japan and abroad, to understand from the story the importance of life and the fact that time treats everyone equally after reading this book, Temple Alley Summer. Can you explain a bit more what you mean by that? How do you see these themes coming up in the story?
テーマが生まれたと私はその物語を書く時はもう自分がすごく面白がって物語を書いてるので読んでくださった人たちが「ああ面白かった」って言っていただければそれで満足です。
So in terms of the emergence of these themes, when I write stories, I write things that I actually enjoy or think are interesting. When I'm writing, I think, wow, it would be great if my readers would find this interesting.
でもこの物語は日本の東北地方に東日本大震災という大きな災害があってたくさんの命が失われた年の何ヶ月後かに出版していただいた本です。
But actually, in terms of the timing for when the story was published, it happened to be published a couple of months before the Great East Japan earthquake, a big disaster we had in Japan, where many lives were lost.
ですので面白かったと思ってくださる他に命の大切さと平等に与えられた時間を 大事に来てほしいという思いがありましたし、あとその自分の大事な人が津波で失われた時にこの本を読んで、ああ、明かりのようにその子が帰ってくるということも、そういうことがあればいいなと思ってくださればいいなと思いました。
So in addition to readers enjoying or thinking my books are interesting, I did want them to understand the importance of life, as well as the fact that we all experience the passing of time in the same way. That was something I thought was important in correspondence with this book. In addition to the disaster I referred to before, people who lost someone they loved or who was important to them during the tsunami, I thought that if they read this book and, like Akari, the character in the story, they could envision someone who they loved coming back to them. I'd be happy if that was what they got.
Great, thank you so much. So the next question is about ghosts and ghost stories. I'm wondering in particular if you grew up hearing any particular ghost stories that you were influenced by, or whether you read ghost stories, mysteries that particularly influenced your writing style.
子供の頃幽霊の出てくるお話は読んだことがないんですが、秘密の花園というイギリスの話かな、それで主人公のメアリーがおじさんの屋敷で初めていとこのコリンがいることを知らないで、コリンの鳴き声が幽霊だと思うんですね。
So growing up, I didn't particularly read many ghost stories. One story or one book that did influence me, I believe it's from England, is The Secret Garden. The main character, Mary, is sent to live in her uncle's home. She does not know that her cousin Colin is there, and she hears him crying, and she thinks it's a ghost.
その怖さは怖いなと読んでて私も思ったと思います。
And I think that when I was reading the book, I really felt that fear. I was like, oh, this is scary. So that was something that I decided.
で、私は子供の頃から落語という日本のその芸能があるんですけども、昔のお話を一人の男の人がお話しする芸能なんです。
So from a young age, I was very into Rakugo. It's a Japanese art. It's sort of a comic storytelling. It's very traditional. And this is something that's usually performed by one man.
その中にいろいろな幽霊が出てくるお話があって、みんな笑い話なんですが、特に好きなのがその骨釣りというお話です。
Within that, there's a lot of different ghost stories. Rakugo itself has a lot of humorous. It's comic. But there was one ghost story in particular I liked. It was called something along the lines of Fishing for Bones.
一人の男が骨を釣り上げてしまってかわいそうになとお酒をかけてあげるんですね。そうすると夜に綺麗な若い女の人がそれは私だったんですよってお礼を言いに来る。それを隣の部屋のそのおっちこちょいが聞いてて、自分も骨を釣ったらば骨を釣ってお酒をかけてやるときっと女の人が来てくれるだろうと思うという、とんでもないものが釣れるんですけど、そういうお話です。
So this story, Fishing for Bones, the plot involves one person who does this fishing for the bones, and he feels bad for it, so he pours some sake on top of it. And that night, a beautiful young woman emerges and says, "That was me. Those were my bones." There's someone who's in the next room over who hears or sees what's happening and thinks, if I do the same thing, if I fish for bones and pour the sake, maybe I'll be as lucky. So that's the gist of that one.
Amazing. So the next question is about kind of the division between children's and young adults and adult literature. In America, these are pretty clear-cut distinctions between these genres. We have certain ideas about what kinds of material and themes are appropriate for particular ages. Is that also the case in Japan? And also, if it is, like, how do you decide what kind of material is appropriate for what age bracket of books?
私はその自分の書いている物語をそのどこに向けてって書くことがほとんどないんですね。もちろん低学年 低学年で小さい人向けの時は小さい人向けに書きます。
For me, I don't really have much intentionality in terms of who I'm writing the story for. I mean, that being said, if I'm writing for younger readers, of course I'm going to write it so younger readers can understand it, but...
でも大抵自分がお話を書いている時は小学校5、6年生向け、10歳の方に向けてお話を書いているつもりになります。で、それはその10歳の人はどんなものでも読めるって思ってます。
So when I'm writing, I primarily set out to write for someone who's either in the last year of elementary school, first year of middle school, probably around 10 years old. That's what I intend to do. But that being said, when I say that I write for a 10-year-old, I think that any topic is appropriate for them.
で、私の書いている物語でも、私は10歳の人でも読めると思って書いている物語でも、その受け取る側っていうか出版社の方でこれは少し大人向けではないかとか思われる時もあると思います。
So even when I'm writing stories for this younger audience, something that I think would be appropriate or that a 10-year-old could read, sometimes on the publisher side, when they receive the book, they might think that it's more appropriate for an adult audience. That's where the distinction takes place.
日本ではとてもその15歳以上から大人向けの間のその書籍の区分がすごく細かくあって、まあ私は一般的にヤングアダルトだと思ってるんですが、そのヤングアダルトの中でも区分があります。
So in Japan, there's actually very granular divisions between books that fall for people ages 15 to adults. There's many specific classifications. I consider myself a young adult author. My work is for a young adult, but even within this young adult category, it's further divided.
読者の方も私の物語を読んで、これはヤングアダルトだろうとおっしゃる方もいます。でもそれはそれで読んでくださる方が思ってまあ読んでくださる方が好きに思ってくださればいいことだろうと思っています。
There are some readers who will read my books and say that it falls into the young adult category, but for me, I'm actually just happy if my readers are satisfied with the books I write.
Great, and that brings us to our last question, which is what kinds of projects are you working on now? What can we look forward to seeing from you in the future?
これから出版していただく本は岬の迷いがといったこの映画にアニメにもなった本なんですけども、その震災が岬の迷いがは震災があってすぐのお話なんですが、それから後の10年後ぐらいのお話を今編集者が出版する準備をしています。もちろん英語でも来年この岬の迷いが英語版になって出版されます。
So currently, what will be coming up in terms of a book of mine that's going to be published is the Abandoned House on the Cape. You can also see the poster for the movie, the anime. It's the House of the Lost on the Cape. This story was immediately after the earthquake. This new one that's coming out takes place about a decade later. I think that my editors are currently in preparation for the publishing of this book. And I must say that next year there will be an English version as well.
Great, so I think that's about it for the questions. And now we will launch into a Q&A with the audience. So if there's something that anyone here would like to ask Kashiwaba-san, we would really welcome any questions.
Thank you. だんだん自分が大人になってくにつれて子供の視点を忘れてってるんですけど、どうしたら先生みたいにずっと子供の目線を持ち続けられますか？
I think that as I age, I might lose my perspective, my child perspective. I'm wondering how you, as an author, keep yourself in the mind of young people when you write.
わかりません。子供の視線、 子供の視線だけではないと思ってます。大人の視線、違いますかね。子供の視線だけではないと思って生きてます。でもどっかやっぱりもちろん子供っぽいところはたくさんあります。どうしてかって言われてもちょっとそれは理由は分かります。
I don't know. I don't really consider myself to be writing from the perspective of a child. I think for me, I'm writing from the perspective of an adult, but I'm sure there are certain parts which seem that it is coming from a child. But I don't know the specific reason.
What other authors do you like to read?
好きな作パージョンエリーナ・パージョンやっぱり赤毛のアンヌ
Anna Green
But no, the first person. Yeah.
言ったばっかりなのに
I'm
ど忘れして
Okay. A personal favorite of mine is the End of Green Gables stories. I love that series. But in the first one, maybe some of the readers out there can help me. Alina Fajan, I might be pronouncing it, I'm using the Japanese pronunciation, but that's another author who I love. I apologize for not reading it.
あとは推理小説です ミステリー
And mysteries.
アガサ・クリスティですねアガサ・クリスティ
Oh, Agatha Christie is one of my favorites for mystery series.
翻訳本を出版されるときに何か難しかったところとか、なんかロースイントランスレーションになったところとかありますか？
So I'm just wondering, when your works are translated, for this work as an example, are there any parts that were particularly difficult, things that you thought got lost in translation?
私はそんなに難しいところはなくて訳した宇田川さんが本当に苦労なさったと思うんですけど本当に家族で頑張ってくださってご主人が日本の方でそしてお子さん女の子2人いらっしゃるので今の子供たちの英語ともう家族ぐるみでやってくださったような印象を私は持っています。家族ぐるみでやってくださったんだなってありがたいなと思ってます。
From my perspective, I had nothing that was particularly difficult. I think the hard part was with Udagawa-san, who was my translator, my superb translator. But she actually had some help from her family. Her husband is Japanese, and she has 2 young daughters. So they were actually quite helpful to her in terms of getting the lingo that maybe children or young people would use today. But again, I think it was really a family effort.
質問じゃないけどいいです。君の向こうの不思議な街がずっと大好きで、宝物でずっと本持って断捨離の時にたくさん本処分してもそれだけは絶対に捨てられなくてずっと思っていまだに何か悲しいこととかあったりとかすると時々開いてたりするのでまさかの作家さんに会えると思わなかった。ありがとうございます。ずっと宝物です。
ありがとうございます。
This is not a question, but actually a comment. I have to tell you how much your work, The Marvelous Village Veiled in Mist, means to me. This is a book I've loved for a very long time, and I've saved it. Even though I've gotten rid of other books and other things along the course of my life, this is the one book that I've always saved. And it's been a big consolation to me when I have times where I'm not feeling so great. I will just open the book, and it always makes me feel better. So it really is my treasure. I never thought that I would be able to meet the author in person, and here I am.
なんか涙が
Thank you very much. I'm tearing up.
What book of yours do you want to see translation to English?
たく たくさんあります。続きの図書館も英訳してほしいですし、モンスターホテルのシリーズも英訳してほしいと思ってます。よろしくお願いします。
I mean, there's actually so many. I'd love to see the What's Next Library be translated to English. My Monster Hotel series would be wonderful, so I ask for your cooperation in regards to that.
でもちろん霧の向こうの不思議な街も英語できちっとした形で出していただけたらいいなと思ってます。
But the Marvelous Village Veiled in Mist, which was just discussed, I would love to see a renewed translation of that as well.
宇田川さんに
If I had my pick, it would be Uragawa-san again.
私にとってそのあかりのように次を知りたいと思っている物語はあるかと。
Thank you very much for your moving story. I really enjoyed it. I'm just wondering, you referred to Anne of Green Gables earlier. I'm just wondering if there's another series or books that you just want to keep reading and keep delve more into.
そういう本は私には今のところはなくてですね、自分の物語の次を書きたいっていう思いだけで、いる状態です。はい。
Actually, at the moment, I can't pinpoint something that I'm dying to keep reading right now. Reason being is I'm actually wholly focused on the continuation of my own writing. That's sort of where my headspace at the moment.
柏原さんの本って日本の文化とかすごくたくさん含まれてると思うんですけど、その海外の読者さんに注目してもらいたいポイントとか、テーマとか何かありますかね。
So I believe that your books really go quite deep into the Japanese culture. That's a very large aspect of your works. I'm just wondering for foreign readers, people outside Japan, is there anything that you specifically want them to pay attention to or themes that you want them to be aware of when they read your works?
私は小さい頃から小学校3年生から翻訳の外国のお話だけを読んで大きくなったので、すごい外国の文化にすごい興味があったんですね。食べるものにしても着るものにしてもいろんな行事にしてもすごい興味がありました。ですので私の物語を読んで外国の人にも日本の文化にいろんな文化に興味を持っていただきたいと思います。
Starting in about third grade, when I was young, I exclusively read books in translation. It was books from other cultures, and I was just fascinated by how different it was. The things they were eating, the things they were wearing, the events and things that were happening. This was something that was very formative for me, so I would like to think that my books, which do incorporate a lot of aspects of Japanese culture, would enable readers to have that same interest in Japanese culture.
もう何十年も人の金銭に触れる物語を作っていらっしゃると思うんですけども、何がその原動力なんでしょうか。
So you've been a prolific author for decades now. I'm just wondering what keeps your engine going? What is the motivation to give you this power for all these years?
私はとにかく書くことが楽しくて、物語を作ることが楽しいです。楽しいので書き続けられてきましたし、これが面白くないと思ったらやめてって。
Basically, I love writing. I really love creating stories. This is something that I get a lot of enjoyment from. So I think that is what enabled me to keep writing all over the decades. At some point, if I am not enjoying it, that might be different. But that really is my motivation.
もう
think we will then wrap this up. Thank you so much for your questions. Once again, I'd like to thank Kashiwaba-san and all of you who came here today. There will be a book signing by her for those who purchased Temple Alley Summer, either in English or Japanese. And lastly, I would love to ask you for a quick survey at this event if you have time. I think you'll find it on your chair. If you're able to just complete the survey, you can get a really pretty poster of the last house on the Cape. Thank you so much for coming.